Hi everyone, I'm Bill Shkurti and welcome to OSU Student Life in the 60s. Since this is primarily a visual story, I've set up this talk as a series of illustrations that are representative of the 160 or so illustrations in the book. So follow me to the next slide and we'll get started. I love this photograph because it captures the essence of the good vibes of the 60s era. This groovy couple is clearly pleased with the way things are going, and for good reason. It was an exceptional time for young people of college age. Large numbers of them headed towards college campuses with discretionary income in their pockets, increased freedoms to explore, and an expectation that they were entitled to a good time. The book is divided into 10 chapters, each one devoted to one of the 10 years of the decade, beginning with the 60-61 school year and ending with the 69-70 school year. Each chapter has a series of short photo essays built around these themes. The first one is Party Time, or the different ways students entertain themselves. Traditions is a celebration of the university traditions like homecoming and May Week and how they changed over the decade. Buckeye Nation addresses the allure of athletics. Showtime involves movies, concerts, and other entertainment that appealed to students. Places is where students gathered for fun. Fashion is what students wore if they really wanted to be with it. And Buckeye Bits is interesting stuff that didn't fit anywhere else but was worth presenting. So grab your seat on the magic carpet ride and let's begin our trip back to the soaring 60s. In this section, we capture the creative energy of student theme parties. This particular picture is a 1963 toga party, and the participants seem to be thoroughly enjoying themselves. We can move on now to the next slide. University traditions like homecoming, May Week, and Greek Week were a big part of the social calendar at the beginning of the decade. Some of these traditions continued, some did not. In this section, we explore what did and why. Pictured here is the 1960 Homecoming Queen caravan. I love those big cars. Now, if we can go on to the next slide. Sports are always a big part of campus life. Here we relive the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. On the left-hand side is John Havlicek, part of the OSU basketball dream team of the early 60s. And then on the right is defensive back Tim Anderson preparing to stuff O.J. Simpson at the 1969 Rose Bowl. I'm going to go to the next slide. In Showtime, we look at the movies, concert, and other shows that were popular with students. The Peter, Paul, and Mary concert at Mershon, which is shown there on the left, sold out in record time in 1963. On the right-hand side, you see a picture of students watching TV before the days of cable, that thing on the top of the center called rabbit ears. We can go on now to the next slide. Places is where we revisit the places where students hung out, including campus bars and fast food establishments. Pictured here is the subterranean appeal of the North Berg on the left. Notice the high-class light fixture on the ceiling there. And on the right is BBF, which stands for Burger Boy Foodorama, which brought 15-cent hamburgers to campus even before McDonald's. Now, if we go on to the next slide. Fashion Plates is where we chronicle the fast-moving fashion trends of the day by featuring students we feel certainly have the look. On the left is the winner of the George Harrison Lookalike contest, who's a really cool-looking guy with a tie and a sweater and blue jeans on, represents the mid-60s. On the right hand is a woman who wears a pantsuit that probably wins the lookalike contest for a computer chip and represents some of the fashions of the late part of the decade. Let's move on to the next slide. Buckeye Bits features photos that are interesting but don't really fit in the other categories. In this particular one, this band of troubadours from 1962 is probably not headed to the library to study, but they seem to be enjoying themselves. Okay, let's go to the next slide. I hope you've enjoyed this tour of student life in the 60s. If I were to characterize it in one word, what this book is about, it would be exuberance, as represented by the young woman in the photo. I sent this final manuscript to the publisher before the pandemic broke earlier this year, but in light of what has happened since, I think the unrestrained exuberance of student life in the 60s is a great escape, even if only a temporary one, from the challenges of today. So if we go on to the next slide. Here are all three of my books. Student Life in the 60s on the left-hand side we just talked about. OSU in 60s, The Unraveling of the Old Order is an excellent companion, and it covers the more serious side, including student protests, academic issues, and the influence of state politics on the university in the 60s. Both of these are available through the Buckeye Books website. The third book on the right there is my book about the last Americans on the ground in Vietnam and the challenges they faced. It's not available through Buckeye Book Fair, but you can find it on Amazon or the University of Kansas Press. Thank you all for your interest in this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Books like the coming holiday is going to be a bit of a challenge because of the virus, but books like this can make a great holiday present, and I hope you'll consider it for your loved ones and for yourself. Thank you very much, and best of luck to you.